6 Days in Fallujah is an upcoming first-person tactical shooter being released later this year. This is a game that is set around the very real Second Battle of Fallujah in 2004, part of the Iraq War. This was a joint British, American and Iraqi government offensive where the aim of the operation was to remove insurgents from the town of Fallujah. Basing a game on this very real and bloody operation was met with a lot of political controversy, but with that all being said, I think a game like this can really change the space of the tactical shooter genre forever. With the limited information that we currently have on this game, there are still a few reasons that I can give you to back this up. But before I do that, let's mention that in war, no matter what side you fight on, nobody comes out unscarred, whether that be physically or mentally, and around 1,700 people lost their lives in the Second Battle of Fallujah between the belligerents. The game 6 Days in Fallujah has actually been in development a very long time. Originally in development by Atomic Games, contracted by Konami, who was going to publish the game. However, in 2009, due to the controversy of the game and the setting, Konami suspended its role as publisher, and soon after, Atomic Games crumbled. Fast forward a whole 11 years, and in February this year it was announced that Victura had picked up this game and contracted Highwire Games as a developer. The game 6 Days in Fallujah is set to release later this year, and it will be following a squad of US Marines during their offensive on Fallujah as they clear the town of insurgents. So, a tactical shooter with this much controversy? Why am I looking forward to this game? And why do I think it can change its entire genre? Well, firstly, let's talk about one of the features of this game, procedural architecture. This is a completely new thing for tac shooters that can really change the style of play and improve the replayability of this game. 6 Days physically changes the entire battlefield every time you play the game, and it doesn't just stop at different room styles within buildings that your squad have to clear, but even the entire streets and neighbourhoods will change, meaning that you can't just follow the same path, it will be different every time, and therefore you'll be encountering enemies in different ways every time too. Tons of games, including my beloved Escape from Tarkov, have easy to learn maps, and experienced players will be able to know every spot in which to find combat, as well as what spots to avoid in certain situations, meaning that new players struggle to learn whilst experienced players thrive. And whilst it's key to some games' success, it's nice to see 6 Days taking a different approach, especially when the game is set in a real war setting, and taking control of combatants who didn't know what they were walking into. Clearing rooms can be one of the scariest things in combat. You never truly know whether going in one door means that you won't be coming out the next, and on a game focusing on the fear of the Marines, if done right, the players will have just as much fear going into each room as the Marines did in 2004. I've actually got a clip showing you this architecture in action sent to me by Victura themselves. Hopefully this will give you an example on just how much the landscape can change each time you play.
The person who goes in first is never wrong. They have the most to fear.
And as soon as I walk in, I see a machine gun right in front of my face, maybe 10 feet, 15 feet from me.
Every time we would go into one of those buildings, you never know what to expect.
You don't know the layout of the house until you get in there. And then you still don't know it until you go all the way through it.
Room clearing, house clearing, it's different every single time.
Marines and soldiers never knew what was waiting for them behind the next door. And if you want a realistic experience, neither can you. 6 Days in Fallujah reshapes the battlefield every time you play. Each room, each building, even the entire neighborhood is generated procedurally. Every map is a new map. So just like actual combat, you'll never know what to expect.
Combining this procedurally generated landscape with the advanced AI that are able to move across the entire battlefield freely without being locked to certain pathing or regions means that you truly never know where you're going to be engaged from and what direction you'll be engaged from either. I was also given some bits of information regarding the new AI command that they're calling the Go command. Similar to other tactical shooters where you're in charge of a whole squad, you can control what your team does. However, and I know a lot of you will agree with this, it doesn't always go to plan, and you feel like a super soldier doing all the work. Well, according to Victura, this is not the case in 6 Days. The Go command will seamlessly allow players to aim at certain positions, press the Go button, and then the game will automatically figure out what your AI teammates should do based on what you're pointing at, whether that be suppress fire, stack up on a wall or a door, or even clear certain rooms without the use of a clunky and time-consuming UI menu to command your team.
Suppressing fire!
That was the go command. One tap issues orders to your team based on what you're pointing at. Pin enemies in place with suppressive fire while you flank.
Hold your fire!
Order your team to stack on a door.
Breach it! Open the door! On it!
The go command makes it as easy to direct your team as it is to fire your weapon.
Go, go, go!
This will be used in both the single player as well as the co-op multiplayer, however we don't currently have much information on this feature. However, I do think it'll still be interesting to see more in the upcoming months on this specific feature. But I know for a fact if it's done correctly and fluidly, it could quite easily change the future of squad-based tactical shooters. Recently, the idea of being attached to your character in shooters has really been a focus, whether that be the characters themselves in a more story-driven game, or the gear your character has on them in a looter-shooter style game. 6 Days takes this a step further and actually brings you stories from people that actually fought in the second Battle of Fallujah in 2004.
A third of my battalion was killed or wounded.
It was the bunkers they would build inside houses. And you would go in the house, it'd be all quiet, and then they would open up on you or shoot you through a hole in the wall.
If they didn't hit you right away with a machine gun, they would draw you all the way back to the back of the house where there's really nowhere to escape.
There's such a fear, so you're standing in front of the door. You kick down that door, and there's a sense of relief. You only feel it if you survive.
The idea of hearing stories from people who actually fought in this operation will not only bring an attachment between the player and the character, but it'll also give people who don't understand what happened in the second Battle of Fallujah a little bit more understanding from first-hand accounts. They have described this game to some degree as a horror shooter, not by the typical sense of a horror game, but more the fear of the unknown. Once you experience that for yourself through playing the game, pairing that with the stories that these soldiers are telling you and linking that together is going to bring an even deeper bond with the playable characters and the military personnel who are telling these stories to us, the audience. That being said, it is a game and there are things that are not included. It's no secret of the atrocities that were committed on both sides during the second Battle of Fallujah in 2004, and in my opinion, trying to split yourselves in two halves will be the best way to enjoy this game. One side is that you've got to understand that this truly happened and thousands of lives have been forever changed by this conflict. Not only the lives of the people that fought in this conflict, but the family and friends of those people too. As I said at the start, nobody involved in war is left unchanged by it. On the other half though, the second side that you should probably split yourself into is understand that this is a game. It's here to educate you on true events, but it's also meant to be enjoyed as a tactical shooter, and that is why I'm looking forward to getting my hands on this game in the future. So, in short, this game is not only going to give you tons of replayability with the procedurally generated architecture, but it contains real emotion to bond the player to their character, and it'll allow you to control a squad of marines with real deployed tactics using real warfare. We still don't have tons of information for this game yet, but I do want to know your thoughts. If you're intrigued like myself, then please let me know down below in the comments and get subscribed because I'll be covering much more of this game as we get more information. I also want to know if you have any doubts or fears about this game or its setting. I want to hear all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments, but let's try to keep it civil, boys. I know there's a lot of controversy on this game, but a lot of people, including myself, are here because we look forward to it as a game. Alright, so let's just keep it civil, but I also want to hear your opinions. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See you later.
On November 9th, 2004, I entered the city with 12 Marines plus myself, and by November 13th, I was down to 4 Marines and myself.